Okay, so for this problem here, we want to find the equation of a line that passes through 4, -7, and it's perpendicular to the line whose equation is this thing here. So as with all these problems, the step number one that we need to do is we need to find the slope of the line that we're trying to create here. And the way we do that is we find what is the slope of this line and then find out what slope is perpendicular to it. So first we need to write that equation in slope-intercept form so we can find the slope. So when we write that out, we're going to subtract x from both sides and add 3 to both sides. And then when we bring that down, we cancel those two things out and we have -2y equals -x plus 3. And so we divide both sides here by -2. Now when I divide, I could divide the whole thing by -2. I'm going to divide them individually by -2 because I really want that fraction in front of x because that's going to be the slope. So -2 divided by -2 cancels and we have y equals, and now here we have -x over -2. That's two negatives, which means that is positive, and I can express that as 1/2 x, and then plus 3 divided by -2 is -3/2. Now that -3/2 is actually inconsequential information. We don't really need that. So that is the slope of this line. We want to be perpendicular to that line. So let's talk a little bit about what that means. A perpendicular line has a opposite sign and a reciprocal slope. So let me demonstrate this with this little line I've made up here. If we have a line that say is y equals -3/7 x plus 2, if I want to be parallel to that, or perpendicular to that, I'll write y equals, so we flip it over and we change the sign to 7/3 x. And notice how those two lines are perpendicular. And so I can change this number to 5/2. And so my other line would be 2/5, and I would need to make that negative. And so you see how changing those numbers around turned that into perpendicular lines. So if I continue with my original problem, my slope of this original line was 1/2. I need to flip the sign and flip the fraction. So my slope will be m, and I'm going to write, instead of 1/2, I'm going to write 2/1, and I need to make that thing negative. So we have -2/1, or my slope will be -2. And that will be the slope of the line that we desire. Now the second part of this problem is we need to find the y-intercept. Alright, so there's a couple ways to find the y-intercept for a problem. I'm going to demonstrate using the slope-intercept form. You can use point slope. I may show that here in a second. So we know that our slope now is -2. So instead of writing y equals mx plus b, I'm going to write y equals -2x plus b. And now we're going to solve for b, which is the y-intercept. And the other piece of information they've given us here is this point, 4, -7. Recall that 4, -7 means x equals 4 and y equals -7. And so we can use that piece of information and come over here, and where we see y, let's put -7. And where we see x, let's put 4. And write plus b. And using this, we can solve for b. So -7 equals -8 plus b. And so we add 8 to both sides. And we get that b is equal to 1. And so now I can write my final answer to this problem is y equals -2x was my slope. And my y-intercept I just found was 1. And so that is the solution. Some of you may be familiar with the point slope form. If you have it in your brain already, you can use that, but this is not another thing that you have to memorize, but some students prefer to do this. And here you would write y minus, and my y coordinate, as we said earlier, was -7, and my slope was -2, and we write x minus, and then x1 was 4. So when we simplify this, we get y plus 7 equals -2x plus 8. And now we subtract 7 from both sides, and we get y equals -2x, and then plus 1. So we get the same answer using just a different methodology. So I hope this helps.